Okay, so the bottom 6 questions, we're going to simplify these expressions by combining like terms. So the first thing we need to do is to identify if there are any like terms in the expression so that we can make it simpler. For question number 1, it says 8x minus 10 minus 5x plus 7. I'm going to go ahead and circle the ones that have an x. So I have an 8x here, and I have a negative 5x. Notice how I'm circling the negative with that 5x, okay? Because that's important when I'm going to put these two together. So when I'm simplifying this part, I'm going to do 8 minus 5. All I'm looking at really is the coefficient in order to put those like terms together. Since 8 minus 5 is 3, I'm now going to have 3x. Then I'm going to box in the other part. Now I have two constants left. It's a negative 10 and a positive 7. So negative 10 plus 7 is a negative 3. So my answer is 3x minus 3. There are no other like terms, and there are no other terms to use. So this is the answer, 3x minus 3. There's nothing else you can do. We're not solving, we're simplifying. We're making the problem look simpler. Okay, number 2, 4a minus 7b plus 5a minus 20b plus 3. I'm going to circle the ones that have the letter A next to it. So there's the 4a here and a positive 5a. Notice again how I'm circling the plus sign in front of that 5. It's important to know if that number is a positive or negative. Okay, there's no other a's here, so these two terms are the only ones that are alike with the letter A. So I'm going to do 4 plus 5, that's 9, so now I have 9a. Then I'm going to box in the ones that have the letter B. There's a negative 7b. Notice how I box in the negative in front of it, and this one over here is a negative 20b. So I can put this in my calculator. When I do that, I'm going to do negative 7 minus 20. So that's just how I see it. I'm going to type it in my calculator just like that. And negative 7 minus 20 is a negative 27. Go ahead and write the letter B next to it. Don't forget the variable because that's important. And then I have this plus 3 left. Since there is no other constant I can combine that with, I'm just simply going to write it down, plus 3. And I write a plus sign because that 3 is a positive. Just to double check, make sure there's no other like terms. I have an a, b, and a constant. I can't combine anything else, so this is my answer, 9a minus 27b plus 3. Number 3, a squared plus 5 minus 3a squared plus 5a cubed minus 3a plus 10. All right, that's a big one. So, starting with this a squared. Now, I can see over here there's another a squared. What would confuse some kids is there's not a number in front of the first a squared. Remember earlier, I said if there's not a number in front, it's understood to be a 1. So if you want to write a 1 in front of that a squared, you can. So I'm going to circle the ones that have a squareds, which is this first one here, and this negative 3a squared here. So in my calculator, when I type it in, I'm going to do 1 minus 3. And that's going to give me a negative 2. And write in your a squared after that. Next, I'm going to box in the constants. I have a positive 5 here, and I have another constant over here, a positive 10. So I'm going to put a box around those two. I just use different shapes around these so that I know that the boxes go with each other and the circles go with each other. So a positive 5 and a positive 10, that makes a positive 15. All right. And then I have this a to the third power, a cubed. I don't see anything else that says a cubed. So I'm just going to simply write that down, plus 5a cubed. And then I see a minus 3a, and I don't see anything else that has an a by itself. Again, it has to just have an a with no exponent to go with this one. And there's not one like that, so I'm just simply going to write down minus 3a. And if I check my work, I have a squared, there's no other a squareds. I have a constant, there's no other constants. A cubed and an a, so I can't combine anything else. That is my answer. Number 4, 4x minus 3y plus 8x plus 5y. I'm going to go ahead and box in, or circle in the ones that have x's. So I have a 4x here and an 8x here. That's going to give me a 12x because 4 plus 8. Then I have a negative 3y or a minus 3y and a positive 5y. Those are going to go together because they have y's. Negative 3 plus 5 is a positive 2. And go ahead and write your y. And that is your answer, 12x plus 2y. Whew. 3a squared minus 4b plus 2b squared minus 3a plus b squared plus 4b plus 3a. That's a huge problem. So I'm going to start with this one, a squared. I see another a squared. No, I do not. So 3a squared is going to just be written down. Nothing is going to combine with it. And if you want to, you can mark it out like that so you know that you've used it. Negative 4b. I see 4b over here, so I have negative 4b. That's going to combine with positive 4b. Now, if I have negative 4 plus 4, that's a 0 pair. So that means I have 0b. Some of us would want to write plus 0b, but there's no need to. Since it zeroes out, it completely goes away. Then I have a plus 2b squared. I don't see anything else. Oh, yes, I do, right there. So 2b squared. And this, is that a b squared? Yep. This positive b squared are going to go together. In front of this b squared, remember there is a 1. So really I'm adding 2 plus 1. So that's a positive 3b squared. That takes care of those two. And then I have negative 3a and a positive 3a. Those are going to go together because they both have the same variable a. And so negative 3 plus 3, that is 0 again. So I don't need to write that down. So my answer is 3a squared plus 3b squared. That's why it's called simplified. It went from all this to just this. And then the last problem, 12x minus 5 minus 7x squared plus 3x plus 6. Starting with 12x, I see another x right here and here, but this one does not go with it because it has a squared. So 12x is going to go with this 3x. I'm going to circle. And this is just a strategy I use. You do not have to use this strategy, but it's good to use when you start learning this. 12 and 3 make 15. Don't forget your variable x. And I have a negative 5 and a positive 6. Those are going to go together because those are your constants that do not have a variable next to it. Negative 5 plus 6 is a positive 1. You can put that in your calculator to check. And then I have left negative 7x squared. There's nothing that goes with that, so I write minus 7x squared. And that's your answer, 15x plus 1 minus 7x squared.